Thank you all for coming. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Julie Parker, and I am your host this morning for our amazing speaker. She's just awesome. I am a meetup organizer of 4 groups, and I have a partner. Joanne is a partner with one of my groups, and we have another partner for another group, so 6 total. And we have over 5,200 members in Houston, and growing all the time. And the reason I started Meetup was to create an opportunity to speak myself anytime I wanted, fill workshops, and bring in more business. And I just decided to, it's just been growing, so it's been amazing. But what I do for my own business, I'm a speaker, a coach, and a consultant, and I'm a face reader. And I use that to help people, whether you're in a relationship and wondering why your spouse or your partner does that thing that just drives you nuts. So understand why, so that you can communicate better and really evaluate if it's the right relationship for you or not, and what to do about it. And if not, if you're looking for a love, to help you know whether you should swipe left or swipe right. Okay? Pick the right person versus the same person in a different body. Anyway, okay, so now I didn't even ask you about an introduction, but I'm just gonna say.
I'm just Joanna.
Just Joanna, right, from Pennsylvania. She's actually originally from California, but
Been in California all my life.
Awesome.
North
She's
of
from
California.
Pennsylvania. She has been telling me about real estate for a long time, and I've been so excited to have her come and speak and describe what she does and how she can help people in business. Right? So Joanna, already Houston, Texas in this wet weather. I've been in wet weather since November last year. Thank you. Yes. So I'm
Getting used to it.
Getting used to it. Okay, good.
Well, first of all, thanks, Julie, for having me, and what an amazing space, right? Gosh, this is awesome. It's a new space, so I'm thinking, you can do a lot here. This is awesome. And I can come back and do more trainings. Yay! So, thank you for coming. As you heard, my name is Joanna Wright, and I've been in real estate for over 17 years. Originally from California, I'm all here now. Just recently moved to Pennsylvania. We just got back from Atlanta, one of the flips that I purchased through a student in Colorado, and again, all my marbles straight here. So we're having a great, honeymoonish time right now. We just got married in August. Thank you. And we're traveling from Pennsylvania to California to pick up our camper that we couldn't get last year when we left in November. So just a lot going on right now, and having a beautiful life, and can't wait for the next chapter of my life in Pennsylvania till I finally settle in. But I've been doing real estate since 2001-ish, and I've learned a lot, and that's what I want to share with you today is some of the things that, some of the bad things and a lot of the good things, and how they apply to you. I've had a lot of experience in multiple areas, residential, commercial. I'll go over a little training on how you can fit into real estate if you're not in it already, and if you're in it already, how can you maximize it, okay? Oh yeah. I am, real estate's not easy. It is not easy, and it can be very damaging to a lot of people. I talk to some people and they say, oh, I've done real estate, but it's not for me. I lost a lot of money in it. And I talk to people that know that real estate's the way to wealth, but they don't know how to get there. So I want to reach both crowds, and that's why I go on my bandwagon and go speak at different locations. I just spoke in South Carolina and to a group of mastermind women, keeping their tools sharp. Masterminding is such an amazing thing to do. If you don't have a mastermind group that you belong to, I highly suggest you do it, because it's not just going to a seminar, it's going to take you and move you to the next level, wherever you're at. Wherever you want to go, you have to mastermind with somebody. You can't do, especially real estate, on your own, right? So a little bit of backstory about me. I didn't grow up rich or anything. I didn't even know anything about real estate. My parents rented the whole entire time of up until my adult life. And the very first house I purchased, I was renting it, and the daughter came to us and said, "We have to sell the house and we're giving you the first chance to buy it." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, how do you do that?" I didn't even know. But she said, "My mom had a stroke and she has to get rid of some of her inventory." Holy crap, she has more than one house? How do you do that? I mean, I was really naive, I didn't know shit. And that's the approach I take when I'm speaking with people, is I always assume that they don't know anything and begin with the beginner's mind. I never assume everybody knows everything, because there's way too much to know. I'm still learning every single day. So I learned how to purchase this house, and a friend of mine walked me through it, and she was a loan officer and she made $4 grand. I went, crap, I could do that. So I became a loan officer. And what I learned as a loan officer was that in order to get people's loans through, they had to have good credit, right? Anybody who never had a loan before, right? Well, funny thing is, on their credit report was a lot of medical collections. Like crap. So I became a credit repair expert because I wanted the loan. So I understand credit repair. Knowing what I've learned since that day, I have since done taxes on my C-Tech license, and I understand what the 1%ers do. I get it now, right? And that's been my bandwagon for the last 6 years now, going out and speaking, because I want to make sure people understand the connection. And it's not just you want to do real estate, and it's not just you want to have a small business. It's the two of them together that's the magic cocktail. Okay, so says the tax law. And why is that? Does anybody know why? Nobody's asking you.
We know you know.
Yeah, I've been to too many trainings. Because the tax loop is, if you have a small business, the government is expecting you to provide jobs. So you're providing a source of income in our economy, right? And in real estate, they're expecting you to provide clean, safe, affordable housing. Whether you're wholesaling it, whether you fix and flip it, whether you buy and hold it, it's developing the community. It's providing for the community and changing that community's economy, if you will. So when I learned the magic sauce, that was my big eye opener. And how I train now is because of that eye opener. I don't just train as a real estate expert. I train as a, what's your tax issue? What's your challenge? Do you need cash flow? Do you need tax write-off? Do you need, what is it that you need? And then you make the cocktail work for you, the small business and the real estate. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And I'll do a little training over that so it'll be more clear where people fit in, okay? So I've done a lot. I have nationwide students. Like I said, I had a student refer me a house in Atlanta that I just bought, and I'm doing construction on it right now. And it's just, I mean, I've got a pretty amazing life. I love what I do. I love what I do, and I can go anywhere I do real estate in any state. I'm not just to my backyard. I'm not just, you know, onesie-twosie here. I love that I can do whatever it is that I want. And the best thing is, I'm writing my whole honeymoon trip off. The tax write-off, as it's business. So keep those two things in mind. I have a student that said, well, I can't, she's in Colorado. She's the one that referred me to Atlanta. She says, well, I can't possibly buy in Colorado. It's so expensive. And I'm from California, the Bay Area. I mean, You're selling a doghouse for $1.5 million, right? So don't focus on the numbers. Focus on what does your tax need. She needed a tax write-off. Okay, great. Where do you travel? And so she said, Virginia. Her mom's there. So buy a house in Virginia, so every time you go there, it's a tax write-off. Right, do you see the connection? So that's how I do real estate. Of course, my life wasn't always this way. I went through a lot in 2008. Anyone have any trouble in 2008? I did. I lost everything. I lost all my investments. I went down, I fell down so hard, I hit every rock, tree, and branch on the way down. I couldn't even afford a bottle of water. So life had to change for me drastically. I ended up making poor choices, ended up in a very ugly relationship, and which made my life even worse. No phone, no car, and barely a roof over my head. You had control of everything. I never ever want to experience that again. That created my why. My son looked at me one day and said, Mom, what happened to you? You used to be so strong. And so I pulled myself out. The real estate game that fell was also my savior. So I have my whole entire heart into real estate as my savior. Right? It's actually this, and you know who the man is, right? But you have to have a vehicle. I don't care what your passion is. Real estate can be the source to get you to your passion. Okay? So, as I said, I have nationwide students now. I've been doing workshops and trainings in California for the last 5 years. And just, it's been a phenomenal change for me. And the more I get into it, the more I get. The more I give, the more I get. The more I get, the more I get. So my son came to, I'm a licensed realtor. I was gonna say I was, but I'm still a licensed realtor in California. And my son came to my office, and there's like 85 realtors in there, right? And he goes, "There's not competition, huh?" I'm like, "What? No, there's no competition here." Well, of course, that's the first thing you think of, right? As a wholesaler, there's how many wholesalers are out there? A couple? Yeah. So you might think competition, right? But the way I train on real estate, there's no competition. It's who you are, who you know, what you do. And it was just odd for my son to see that. He does his own business. He's a alarm installation person in San Diego. And it's a cutthroat business. There's a lot of businesses out there that are cutthroat. You have to bring your unique self to it. So with that, I want to do a little training, if you don't mind. And tell you why I feel that way.
Joanna, does anybody need pens for this?
Yeah.
Do you guys have pens?
I know. Thank you.
Did you have enough to pass over? Put one.
What about the ones in here? Get the ones in here. Okay.
Uh-huh. So, we're gonna do a little drawing. Actually, I can do that. So you have, I'm gonna go over what I call the 4 levels of real estate investing. Okay? And again, either you're in real estate or you're not in real estate, you'll understand where you fit in the spectrum. Okay? Because remember the secret sauce. Do we all have a small business? Yeah, good. We're on the right track. So on this, I want you to just draw 3 lines through there. And this side's gonna be about money. And this side's gonna be about time. Sorry, I thought I had a flip chart, but it's not here. So this
Joanna,
is
do you want us to do it on the back?
No.
Or in
through the triangles.
Okay.
Triangles shows you a timeline.
And it's what, 3?
Yeah, so just 3 lines, and you're gonna have a money side on one
Okay.
and time on the other. Now, there's different avenues of real estate investing. The first part is if you don't have a lot of money, you'll begin at wholesale, right? But you see, no money here means it's gonna take a lot of time. It's a lot of research. Okay? The second line is fix and flip. Okay? So that means you have some money and some time. It's kind of the middle of the road, right? The next one is buy and hold. You need less time, but you need more money. Okay? And then the last one is what we call money lender. Next to zero time, right? And a whole ton of money. This is how the real estate world works. Depending on how you want to jump in it, depends on your resources. Do you have time? Do you have money? Do you have knowledge? Do you have relationships? Those things are all important in real estate. Okay? In a wholesale, I do a whole separate training on each and every one of these. So in wholesale, you would need to find the place, do some inspections, put together report and pictures, and send it out to your buyers list. How many wholesalers here? Good. You guys are looking for property? You guys know. Okay? And it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not easy.
It is not easy, and it takes a lot of time. Absolutely. If you're wanting to be like HGTV and flip properties in a half hour, it doesn't work, first of all. But you're gonna need some money and some time. Okay? Now, all of this is completely doable, no matter where you wanna step in, so stay with me here, okay? Because there's ways to structure everything. I geek out on the whole tax and legal part of it. Remember the famous cocktail, right? So I wanna make sure you guys understand, there's a way for every single part of this. So in fix and flip, you're hoping your wholesaler has put together a well enough package that has, you know the roof's good, you know the foundation's good, it's a good deal, you know how much you're gonna make, he did the market research, he has the comparables, and he knows how much you're going to make. Okay? So when I did my wholesale packages, it had inspection reports, roof reports. I paid for those right up front, $75. The guy charged me, it was $100 if it was out of escrow. And then I had a complete package deal. So when my investors looked at it, they said, oh, I could probably do better than the repair numbers that you put on here. I said, okay, great, that means you're gonna make more money. I was very conservative. So to be able to do this correctly can get you a ton of buyers knocking at your door. Because the first thing that the fix and flip person doesn't want to do is go find another lead. They want it done for them. And that's why being a wholesaler is so important. And you differentiate yourself by having these details in order. Okay? And then as a fix and flip person, you need to be able to have the time and the people in order, the team, I should say, to get the job done. Any fix and flippers here? Nice. So you have your idea of how this works. There's a timeline. There's a timeline of 4 to 6 months on average for a flip. Okay? And in that time, all kinds of oopsies happen. Like you open up a wall and you're like, oh, this is not what I expected. So being able to add those factors in as a wholesaler makes a fix and flipper happy. Okay? And then as a buy and hold, now you've created a little money in wholesale. Now you can fix and flip. And now you want to build your portfolio. Okay? Taking this portfolio and building it to, let me give you the example as when I was a mortgage lender. I had to do a lot of credit repair, right? In order for people to get loans. And, buying a house was out of a lot of people's reach. So in order to handle, so if you bought one house per year, and say you had 10 houses, and a medical emergency happened to you, you couldn't go to work, your small business doesn't work anymore because you're the face of the company and you can no longer show up. What do? How secure are you? This is why this pyramid, it's a pyramid scheme. Goes this way is because you're developing the money and you go into buy and hold and build your portfolio, because if something happens, you can either sell that property or refinance it and get the cash to handle your medical emergency. And then you can move on. Your credit's not damaged. You're not losing things because you have so much debt on your head. Debt is not good unless it's leveraged debt. Okay, now as a money lender, so now we've grown up, we're all grown up now, and we've gone from a wholesaler to fix and flip, buy and hold, and you're getting what? You're getting cash flow. Well, I hope you are. I hope you did everything, all your numbers right, and you're getting cash flow from your buy and hold, right? Now you could be what we call a money lender. And even if they be the bank, yes, even if you have a 401k and you're not there yet, and you don't have any of this yet, you could build this with your 401k or any lazy assets you have sitting around. Okay? And a lot of people, there's trillions of dollars sitting out there. So if you find a deal and you don't have the money, and Eric over here has a 401k and he can do 50 grand out of it, you can now partner, you can create an LLC and partner, have a private money lender on that, do it together. Now, of course, I don't expect you guys to partner as strangers, okay? But do it together, and then depending on what your tax needs or cash flow needs are, is how you'll structure it. So, because if the deal's good enough, because Arturo is an amazing wholesaler, and he can find badass deals, right? then you're gonna make money on it. It's almost a guarantee. Almost a guarantee, right? Because
Absolutely.
real estate is a risk, don't get me wrong. Real estate is a risk. It's a gamble, just like any other investment out there. But it is the only thing that you can insure and secure with a deed of trust. So that's why real estate is, okay, as a child I wanted to be a mad scientist, don't get me wrong. I wanted to be a mad scientist, and the creativity that this brings me, all the different things that I could do, brings out that mad scientist in me. And I wanted to travel. I get to travel and speak all over the place because of real estate. My portfolio, my wealth, my way of life gets to live. My passion gets to move forward and live. And that's what I want for everyone that I speak to is, you know, what is your passion? What do you want to do? And for some people, they're like, oh, it certainly ain't real estate. But it could be the vehicle that fuels your passion. Maybe you want to go on a hiatus and live with the monks. I don't know. I say that because I just came out from Mastermind, and someone actually did that. So, I don't. You guys know Sarah Blakely?
The name's
Spanx?
familiar.
Oh yeah, Spanx. Yeah, I was just at her headquarters there, and we had a mastermind there, and her husband is my coach. So yeah, and he actually, I have it with me, but he actually went and lived with the monks. Right? Who does that? Let's just drop everything and go live with the monks. But you know what? He can because he has the wealth. Yeah.
Is there such a thing?
Is there such a thing?
Excuse me, wait,
There
wait.
actually is. So, like,
No,
no,
there's not.
that's a great point because sometimes it is too much money and people, they get stuck. And if you think you have problems with no money, wait till you have money. Right? You have a whole nother set of problems.
Yep.
So, that's absolutely true. But anyway, so back to my little training here. But this is how, it's pretty simple, right? Like how you can get into real estate or how you can maximize where you're at. And then when you're speaking with people, when you're out networking here like you are today, always be speaking real estate, right? And if you know, so it's, let's just say you're talking to somebody who's got too much money, right?
Great.
They're a money lender. What's in it for them? Why do you think they would want to partner with you?
Interest rate that we're gonna charge you on
They don't need anyone, they got too much.
it.
To help me.
Help people.
For the love of your success.
Yes.
Yes. Any other reasons, anyone? Oh, nobody's talking to you.
There you go.
Cheater.
Tax reason.
Tax reasons. Oh, good, Eric. Oh, that's so good. Where'd you get that from? Oh, you're so smart.
Somewhere back there.
That's in the class somewhere.
Back there.
Yeah, yeah. So, a little telepathy going on over there. So, someone that actually has too much money might want to partner because they need to stock some money away. And real estate, believe it or not, is a great place. I spoke with Sharon Lechter. You know who Sharon Lechter is? She is Rich Dad Poor Dad. She helped write that book for Robert Kiyosaki. Heck, she's one of my billionaires that I like to hang out with. What? Oh. Okay, my husband back there is saying how, well, she likes me. She gave me her number. And she, oh, my goodness. Yeah, I think she's got a little crush on him. Anyway, it's the beard, right? It's the beard. Anyway, so we went and partied with Sharon Lechter at her house in Arizona. Beautiful house. And so she stocks money away in land because usually when you put money into something, you're wanting cash flow back, right? People do it for the cash. But when people have too much money, they need a tax write-off. So I train on the conscious wealth system. I go over a 9-step system on how to start and build to your wealth freedom day. And part of that is, what is your tax situation? Again, I geek out on tax and legal, and there's so many investors out there that get it wrong, and they screw themselves up, and they pay hundreds of thousands of, or I don't know if they paid it, but they get billed hundreds of thousands in taxes And they're like, real estate screwed me. No. The tax screwed you. You didn't have the structure proper. Real estate did what it was supposed to do. So when you're speaking to somebody about a deal, or speaking to somebody about how you're going to take the next step, make sure you understand the tax implication of it. So here's I'll give you another quick training I didn't mean to do, but I'm gonna do it on the back of the other one. If you're speaking with somebody, they have a need. This is gonna help you get a visual on why I'm speaking about taxes. You know the 4 quadrants from Robert Kiyosaki? I know I don't party with him. So typically you would see sorry, we got it back in there. So in the 4 quadrants, you would see employee, self-employed, business, and investor, correct? Let's take that into how to structure a deal, okay? So you already broke out, you know that being an employee doesn't work. You need to have a small business. We all jump into this self-employment bucket, and then we're working like some 14 hours, 20 hours of the day, right? So the way to handle this is your investments, okay? And then you make a system, a business of it. You know, I'm here because he's going around the camera trying to look. Sorry, Arturo, they're telling me I gotta stand right here.
It's all good, no worries.
So if you're speaking to somebody, so I had a gentleman at my meetup over in Pennsylvania. This is a great example. He was in between jobs. What do you think he needs on this chart right here?
Money.
He needs cash flow, right? So if Arturo, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name, gets a hold of a deal and you need cash flow. Let's say you're in between jobs. You're the gentleman I'm talking about in my meetup. And you get a hold of a deal, and then you get a hold of the billionaire Eric over there, right? You guys can partner because Eric is gonna need a tax write-off, which is depreciation. I think it's the 27.5, right? You give him all the depreciation and you get all the cash flow, right? You guys can split appreciation, or if he doesn't need it, you get all of the appreciation. But we never buy on appreciation, right? Right? My investors, right? But these are different ways that you can structure, okay? So the next deal that you guys get, if you want to partner with somebody, there's multiple ways to do this. And there's multiple ways to get into sellers' pockets and say, I need you to finance it.
Good to know.
Yeah. So if that billionaire needs a write-off, you can create your cash flow and they fund it, right? Because they need to lose money for a minute. And that's what Sharon Lecter does. She buys land. She has a whole bunch of land that she's just soft money into. So I did an interview with her, and her 3 top investments, number 1 was real estate. So if Sharon Lecter, the billionaire, if Sarah Blakely, a billionaire, I could go on. Real estate is number 1. But you can't solely be there. You have to have a small business. You have to have the tax write-offs. So that's why it makes the perfect cocktail. If you guys want to read the tax law, it'll back me up. But it's a lengthy process to do that. If you're needing cash flow, real estate can be a way. If you're needing a tax write-off, real estate can be the way. And that's how you can find your partners. Make sense? So that was just a quick little one that I do in my other trainings. Any questions on how any of this works? Pretty clear.
Do you have any notes that you work with, or any investors that focus on notes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Awesome.
Are you looking to purchase or sell notes?
Purchase.
Purchase, got you. Okay. Everyone knows what he's talking about? Okay. Yeah, I think you're just reading out. So buying notes, I'll give you just generically, like a bank. When you buy a house and that big thick packet of information you sign and broke your hand signing every single one of those pages. Yeah, so there's a deed of trust in there, there's a note saying you owe them money, right? So he would buy that note if you needed to get out of it.
Oh, buying
Yeah, well, not, he's buying the paper, not the,
Oh, yeah, I can remember that. It was one person when I was purchasing that time I got the closing table.
it's a whole nother bank. They sold it off. So what,
They
that's
sold-
exactly what
Oh,
banks
that's
do.
what he did.
Yeah,
That's what he's talking
yes.
about. Okay.
Because
Their fees up
banks,
front
once they get your loan, they get enough of you and they package you up in a tiny little bow and sell you off to somebody else. And that's how the bank makes their money, and now your loan is with somebody else. That's buying notes. Yeah, in a basic explanation. Awesome. Any other questions? You came here and you thought you were gonna learn what? Anybody? Arturo, you came here and
Came here to learn anything.
anything you could.
Anything.
Good answer. So you came here because you thought I'm gonna learn.
Oh, man, the tax write-offs, how to, the small business, I think it was something that was on there about how to come out of a slump or something like that, the tax write-offs or something like that.
Okay,
Basically, what you mentioned,
okay,
I still have my questions, but I'm trying to strengthen them as we go.
okay,
So
sure.
I do and will have some questions for you.
Perfect, perfect.
Probably now, as soon as they ding and say, hey, they ready, print out.
Ready to print out, got it. I like it, I like it. Anyone else? You came here and you wanted to learn anything, good. Okay,
I
you
would
guys
like
are
to
so
get, like,
easy.
some contacts, definitely like some of your contacts for hard money lenders and things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have nationwide lenders, so if you're looking to get into something, they'll do purchase plus rehab. Anywhere from 75 to 85, or 70 to 85. depending.
75 to 85%? Or?
They'll fund, yeah, and then 100% of the rehab.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good way to have to only have a small chunk, like the 50 grand we talked that Eric had. You could partner with Eric, he's got the 50 to fill in the gap, right? And then you guys can split the profits, 50-50, go on to the next one, whichever, however you wanna do it. But the thing that I'm going to stress to you the most, you could do this all day long, I call it piecework. It's short term, right, until you get to the next one. One house a year, that's all I ask, buy and hold it. You'll get more tax write-offs. Okay, you'll get the depreciation, or depending on how you structure it. But you want to build that portfolio. Because anyone you talk to that has a small business, they eventually have real estate, because they figured out the perfect cocktail. Or if they haven't yet, maybe you should tell them. Okay, because Uncle Sam will come looking for them. Carrie, one of the gals I've worked with, she's doing great with her business. She has a health business. And the reason she could do what she does is because real estate fuels her passion. I actually have, another guy in California, his sister is a nun. She gets to be a nun because her real estate supports her. Right? You could do whatever you want. Your clothing business you have, right? It could be,
I'm not having it anymore, but I have
right?
it.
But just as an example, you know, it doesn't matter what happens so long as, you know, you can control your cocktail. Because if you bought Wright, which I did not buy Wright when the economy fell, I was not that educated, but boy, am I educated now. Right? I learned that I didn't buy Wright. And that's why I was ruined by real estate. It's my own fault. And so when people come to me and say, real estate ruined me, no, you weren't educated enough to know what was gonna happen. Okay, the downfall, 2008. If you had bought correctly and you had renters in there that were, and it was cash flowing, the market shouldn't have mattered to you because you were cash flowing.
I have 2 questions. One is, do you show us how to, I mean, within different states? I mean, Texas is different from other states.
Yeah,
Texas,
there's
everybody's
no
very different.
lease option here, but you could rent to buy.
There's
the
like a
same
way to
thing.
structure it, but yeah, so do you teach people how to do that in all the different states?
I do, because my very first investment was in Idaho, Nampa, Idaho. And, I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I must have walked around that building at least 17 times before I signed those papers. And I realized then how different California was from Idaho. And that's where I started doing some research. I have websites that I go to, citydata.com, that helps you understand that area, what's going on in the area. You can also follow big boxes. I train on that. You know, like Home Depot, whatever, what if they're coming in or leaving, that's a good sign. So yeah, I train on the different, you know, there's different regulations in Pennsylvania, working in there. Oh my God. So here's a big one in Atlanta I just learned. I mean, I'm just renovating the kitchen and redoing the floor. It's not a big deal, right? I'm not changing the footprint. And I had to go get permits for that, which I don't mind getting the permits. I had to,
that take though.
you change the curtains in California, you need a permit, so I'm used to it. It's okay. In Pennsylvania, they don't even look at you. You can change the whole house up. You don't need a permit for nothing.
Okay.
So, major differences. In speaking with the planning department in Atlanta, the guy in front of me was doing a development. And he says, well, you can go ahead and try, but zoning might change. This is the planning department's saying this. The zoning might change by Monday. You're like, what? And that's Atlanta. They change their zoning laws like every week. I'm like, well, how are you gonna? And he goes, well, I'll take the risk. And he ruffled up his things and he left. I mean, that's what they're dealing with in Atlanta. I'm like, holy crap, how do you deal with zoning issues, you know, changing so quickly? And I had to get my, my permit, and I'm actually moving the kitchen counter, the outside counter, out, like 8 inches now, because it was so tight in, you couldn't open the door. I said, who did this? And so, of course, the whole thing needs to be ripped out and remodeled. And that was a big deal for the planning department. I thought, oh my God, yeah. So I'm constantly learning. I mean, there's no way I'm gonna know all of 50 state regulation laws, but I can tell you where to go find them, right? I can tell you how to figure out, and that's what I train on, is to help people understand. Yeah.
So you mentioned a good vibe. What is a bad vibe? And at the same time, is you said lease to own. Is it rent to own, lease to own?
So in Texas, it's not legal to lease option out a house. And that's giving someone an option, they're on a lease and you give them an option to buy. Okay? But I could do that in California. But if I reword it,
Buying somebody's lease.
No,
No.
if you rent a house with the intention to purchase afterwards,
Oh, okay. All right.
or
Yeah.
up to a certain point or whatever, I don't remember.
so you put down, like, let me give you the full spectrum, you put down 10 grand is your option that you're buying. You get to buy this house within 2 years. You're gonna repair your credit, get the loan, do what it takes to purchase within 2 years. And you don't get that deposit back, right? Plus you have a lease, because you're renting. They're 2 separate contracts. So a lease option. Okay? But it's legal to say rent to own here. I learned. Right? It's just finding
It's the same
loopholes.
thing?
It's the same thing.
Different form.
Rent to own, lease, option to buy.
I tried to find those, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
The only thing is the country, online, they keep popping up, making mistakes, clicking off, typing up. Things like Easter Island, you get a whole bunch of fake stuff.
Yeah, so, be
I know
prepared to be
if
scammed.
everybody has seen
Be
that.
prepared to be scammed. I have had that. They'll put an ad out there that says, if you just put down $5,000 or 2,500, something simple, you know, you can own this beautiful house. Send money to blah, blah, blah. Please don't do that.
Don't ever send money.
Yeah, first of all, no company ever, anything, should ever ask you for money up front. I don't care what industry they are. But there's scammers out there, and they will try to show you something that they have that they don't really have. So you could be looking at fake ads.
Isn't
They're
it
trying
more,
to rope you in.
isn't it more of like when you actually have a property that's either needing to be sold or people are trying to sell it or something? That's one of the options that you offer. So it comes up like in conversation as an option to offer them.
Yeah, as well, as. So, and there's companies out there that will put in like Craigslist or ads saying, you know, we do rent to own and whatever. They're not always that reputable.
Yeah.
So be careful of that, yeah. But there was a house for sale in California, and, I was working with, one of my clients was trying to find a place to rent, it was years ago. And, she's like, oh, there's this place, you know, it's for rent, I wanna go look at it. And so, we're calling up the owners going, how much is the rent? She's like, what? It's not for rent. It was listed for sale. Someone had took her listing and made a rent thing on Craigslist and was trying to meet up with them and rent out this house. Yeah. There's a lot of
I can do
scammers
that.
out there. Huh?
Oh,
No, you can.
No.
Well,
I
you
know,
said-
right?
You said with
We
Craigslist.
got a new business plan.
No, I mean, it's a, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine, dear.
I was just, that's very shocking because I can't imagine someone taking my house that I'm paying a mortgage for and listing it somewhere like, you can make this.
Right? She had no idea. She had no idea that that was happening. So he was because it was vacant and on lockbox, he can go show the property and they can give him the money to rent it. Yeah. Oh, I like the house. Here's a check. Go on in. Keep going. Nobody knows who he is. And the actual house is for sale, not for rent. So there's a lot of scams out there. Please do your due diligence. That's
So
a big one.
I need to find, in essence, I need to find the real area that has 50,000 to get me started. To get a house.
Absolutely.
To invest and then, okay.
So if you're like Arturo and you find a great deal, the money will follow. And I like to give, this is another training I didn't expect to do, but I'll tell you. I like to give a letter of intent, what I'm gonna do. And the letter of intent will be, so here's a good one, when you're trying to look for a partner, to partner with you, I don't know if you could read my chicken scratch here, but, a letter of intent, let's say the property was 100,000, I'm just using a round number. The property was 100,000, and you make them an all-cash offer for 65. Okay, you write them up a letter, hey, I'm interested in your house, and you make these 3 bullet points of how it could be purchased, how you're gonna move forward. Okay, you can do all cash at 65, and they go, hell no, right? They get pissed off, and like, the hell are you? So, it happens. If you're not embarrassed by your offer, you're not going low enough. right?
Oh.
Or you can, if they want their price, you get your terms. Maybe you put 2,500 down and you're making, you know, 400 a month payments on it. Do you think you can sell this house for 2,500 with $400 payments to an investor that wants to flip it,
Any day.
right?
Well, it's 100,000.
Uh-huh.
I'm selling the house for how much?
So it's 100,000, they want their price, right? So you said, I'll do your price, but I want my terms, and that means 2,500 down and 400 a month to refi in a year. Do you think you can sell something for a $100,000 house for 2,500 and 400 a month to a fix and flipper? Would you guys do that? Or they don't wanna do that because they want more of the money. You can do them an all cash offer, but it's gonna be like 85, right? And you have 90 days to do it in. Can you sell an under market property to an investor within 90 days? No cash out of your pocket,
Absolutely.
right? You add a little buffer, your acquisition fee onto it. Would you pay him to get this property? There you go.
And then how do you know what fee to add on to that for your?
So a lot of it depends on the margin, but I never like to go over 20. So one of my students did 100. That was the Bay Area, but her very first wholesale, like, I hate to even say this, but she did 100 grand on her wholesale. Yeah. So, but I thought it was kind of gouging. I mean, there was still like 400 and something there was plenty to play with. It was free and clear. So, anyways. Right? So it just depends on where you're at. And if it's really low, 100,000, it might even be like three grand that you might put on it, you know, but I wouldn't go lower than 3, as an acquisition fee. What's your average price?
Usually, I mean, it all just depends on the property itself, because
What's the lowest
You
you've
know.
ever done?
lowest, about 2,500,
2,500, see, it's around 3,
Is that
highest,
Yeah.
about 10 grand.
10 grand.
So,
And that's actually normal, and I like to stick it around, you know, 10 grand. But if you've got a small, you know, margin to play with, you know, making a couple grand's still good. So depending on your market where you're playing, you could actually, you know, have 10 grand as you can make 10 grand a month, one wholesale a month. And this is once you get the train going. It doesn't happen like right away, right? But you have to network, you have to get the systems going, you have to get the properties. You have to be searching properties. This is where the time.
And the tax
Part
deductions
comes
for
in.
wholesale don't really apply, do they?
Now, so you're getting cash flow. This is where some people mess up. But the biggest wholesale mess up is you do a double close. Okay? A double close is when you actually close on the property and 5 minutes later sell it to the investor. Okay? You just got a tax bill for $100,000 property and you only make 3. So now you have to go prove to the IRS what you just did. Otherwise, you're thinking you got $100,000 because you sold it to them. So how you come out of escrow is very important. So you could put, you can assign it to the investors, which is the typical way of doing it. Some investors say, no, I want you to close on it first. I wanna make sure you got it. I'm not just gonna go to I mean, there's some stickler people out there, right? But typically, it's an assign. If you assign it, make sure on the HUD that you're coming out as a marketing fee or an admin fee or a loan, whatever it is, that the sellers are now paying off. That is the cleanest way to come out of escrow as a wholesaler. Okay? So now you have income of $3,000. And there's no evidence of 100 grand from the IRS. That's how you protect yourself from Uncle Sam. Most of my uncles are not pretty. Especially him. Okay, does that make sense? Cool. You're welcome. So this is what I do for a living. I help people understand how real estate works in their state, for their tax purposes, how to be creative with it, how to find different ways to network with people.
And then also how to know what kind of a deal to offer for that specific property or situation.
Yes, yeah, because
And
like
different options, yeah.
when I was a mortgage broker, everyone was like a fingerprint, no two alike. So you're like, well, he got 4% on, no, you're totally different, right? And the credit repair stuff, the tax stuff, the whole cocktail that I have had to learn over the last 17 years makes the best investor. I now have students in California. The best couple is, they're just 22 and 23 and didn't know anything about real estate. Came to me, did some workshops, and said, okay, like we see a path here. Now their first deal didn't happen until a year later. They had a lot of developing to do. They were young, they didn't know the business world. So, and they showed up at every single training for a year. Did a nice wholesale subject to. That was a fun one. You guys know what subject to is? When you have a loan and Arturo buys it subject to your loan. So he's not purchasing it. He doesn't have a bank that's gonna buy you out of that loan, but you're gonna sign over the title to him, and this is all legit and in contract, and he just makes your payments. So he could save you, like if you had to move to Pennsylvania in a hurry for a job offer, or you needed to go and you don't have time to mess with your house. You can basically assign it to him to take, and he'll make your bank payments for you, and he'll be on title. And you give him like a year or two, depending on what the contract is, to refi out of it, and now you have a house. And you have your friend here, you got to move to Pennsylvania, you don't have any more stress. There's a lot of reasons that people sell. There's one in Pennsylvania right now I'm working with. Her boyfriend moved in January to Florida, and she can't sell her house. And she's asking too much, quite frankly. She's asking too much. But she needs it. So again, you want your cash, I get my terms. And so I'm trying to work a subject to with her. So we'll see how that works out. That one's the brand newest one. But my students in California, they had a family member pass away, and it was a big short sale time of real estate, and the relatives all were like, there's no money in it, it's upside down, just sell the damn thing, right? I said, whoa. Let's see how we can work this. And they saved that property, they saved the family home, and are now cash flowing $1,400 a month on that house. They now have 7 units over the past 5 years, and because it's one house a year, that's all I ask, right? They now have 7 units. He's quit his job, and she's about to quit hers. So, like, anybody can do this, really, but anybody can be ruined by this too. So don't take this lightly. Yes?
One thing that's on our mind is how, it sounds like when you got started, maybe you were a single person with a child.
Yeah. I can do that.
Well, I
How much you're
based
saying?
this on these stories, I came here a little late, you probably also explain this, but how does one get started? Like, I have a full-time job, and
Mhm.
I'm a single person, and I'm staring down the barrel at 60,
Mhm.
and I need to pour in my retirement.
Yeah.
So this is the way I've been thinking about this for a very long time, and I don't quite know how to get started in on real estate.
Sure, you should be. But thank
I
you for
know that
speaking
now.
up and being so vulnerable, because
Yeah.
that's usually the elephant in the room that people don't wanna talk about, so I appreciate you bringing that up.
But I live in a rich area, not rich area, but an area where there are a lot of investor signs. It's rich with signs everywhere, so and so, or buy your house for cash.
Yeah.
I'm like, this must be a really good time.
Yeah, so, great question. A couple of things that I'm gonna address on that. The first thing is, the last thing that I heard, a great time for it. So if you're doing real estate correctly, every market is a right market for you. Because it just depends on what you're gonna do with it. How you're gonna structure it, what you're gonna do with it, who you're partnering with, what is it that you need? Do you need a write-off, do you need cash flow, what is it that you need? Okay? And if the market is tight, then you just structure it differently. If the market is the bottom of the market, and everyone's freaking out like it was in,
2008 now.
yeah. Well, I was picking up like 6-packs in 2013, where everyone was like, I don't want anything to do with real estate. That's the time to buy low, sell high, you know, the whole, I don't know if you ever heard that before, right? So you have to depict your market and then act accordingly. So every time's a great time, let's just address that. And the second thing is, that I heard was retirement. That is the biggest factor of why you should be in real estate. And why it's so important, because you need to create your own retirement. If you're relying on the government, sorry, you're SOL. Okay, if you have a pension, you're lucky it's still there, if at all. So, real estate is the safest risk take you can take. Build your retirement. I say one property at a time. They're young, right? The couple I spoke about. They have plenty of time to invest. They have 7 properties now. They have the cash flow. He doesn't have to rely on going to work anymore. That's, you grow into it. Okay? And depending on how fast you learn and how fast you can network and pull together your resources, because everyone needs to have a team. That's how fast you can get to your retirement and fire your boss. I do help people fire their boss.
How we do it?
Yeah.
I was for the government.
Well, that's burn your bridges, okay? You know the terms.
But, so you're suggesting, you know, because that's in on my mind too, maybe,
Being a what? Yeah, absolutely. So, the first thing I'm gonna tell you about that is, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna take it back. You're not a landlord. You're a buy and hold investor. Okay? And the difference being, you don't wanna deal with tenants and toilets and trash, right? Everyone's going, that's why I don't do real estate, right?
You hire a property manager.
Property manager are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
Please, that's part of the budget, Arturo, that's your job, is to make sure if it's a buy and hold situation, right? You need to put in there 10% for property management. Okay, so this is another thing, wholesalers do leave a lot of money on the table, because there's so many things that you can do. Let's just talk about Batman for a second. Okay, he's my hero. Why? Because he's an average Joe, and I'm just your average Joe, that has a lot of tools, like Batman. In every situation, you've got a tool to get you out of a sticky situation, right? Wholesalers leave a lot of money on the table. If there's not enough margin for you to get a deal, then you're like, okay, there's no deal, right? What else do you do?
Could just give it to somebody else. It's they can work.
Well, there's no money in the deal.
Well, if I couldn't find one, then I would probably give it to somebody who's more experienced. I mean, if they were able to close it, then I would get a small fee for that,
Uh-huh.
and then I would learn how they did it. So that next time I
That's
could,
smart, that's smart.
you know,
Having that tool in your pocket is smart. So, if you can't do it one way, you find another way. There's not always that margin. If you can structure it another way, like maybe you partner with them, right? Well, I have the deal and there's really no money in it. Can you pay me at the end? And you can still get $7,000 instead of having to squish 2 out. You get a percentage. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. And you'd be happy to do it, right? Because you got the deal and you're flipping your next property. Fix and flippers just need the next, it's like, they need the next one, let's go. They gotta tap it, they need it now. And you're their dealer, they need it's really that simple of a conversation. People need people. And it's so important to network with everybody. When you take the time to network and start building, you can create your retirement, fire your boss, and then go travel and do what you want to do. I don't care how much you love your boss.
Well, eventually I will, but
Right? But what is your passion? Don't you want to get out and follow your passion?
right now I'm happy. Right now my passion is get myself to go.
So why do you want to go home? What do you like to do with your money?
Netflix.
Right. What if you could binge all month long and not have to worry about going to work? I mean, think about it.
I do enjoy traveling, but you know, I as a single person, I want financial security.
Absolutely. And don't we feel sexy with financial security? I know I do. I love sexy assets. Because I get to do whatever I want now. You know, it's a different road. Real estate has been, literally my savior. I need money, here's a real estate deal. I want to do this, here's a real estate deal. And that's just basically how I've lived the last 17 years of my life. And I could go to Cancun and I don't have to worry about being back on Monday to work. You know, I'm sorry, what'd you say? It was funny.
Okay, I want to be like you when I
Mwah. Let's do it, girl. But yeah, everyone could do that. Everyone has the ability to do that. What is your passion, Chantel?
I'm an investor, so my passion is of course to buy and build houses. And one day become a developer as well. So I have like a apartment complex. Yeah, you all just have that.
Yep, absolutely. Good deal. And for you, what is your passion?
Definitely anything related to real estate. So buy and
I love real
hold.
estate geeks.
Yeah, I like to buy and hold and then flip later on. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I do. I want to eventually get into maybe having an apartment complexes and selling them.
Oh God,
After
we
I
should
talk
talk,
to
because I'm
Wright.
looking here in, well, I found one in Waco, actually. So not many people can talk apartment shop,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's a whole, another animal. Good, what is your passion?
It's not really real estate,
It doesn't have to be.
I'm a
Maybe it's
storyteller.
A storyteller,
I
yeah.
like to write, and my passion is more like that, so real estate can get me there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we always need a good storyteller. Do you know that's the way the world works? I mean, they grew on rocks back in the day, told stories. You know, we need people that can storytell. Awesome. And especially awesome that you love it. And what's for you?
My kids, spending more time with my kids, traveling, just doing that. Just relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm using real estate to
Yeah,
get into that.
that's awesome. And for Arturo?
I have several passions, but I could say one of them would be investing, because I'm really into investing, always seeing a return on the investments and seeing what I could do better to, gain a larger leverage to receive more and to help the community and stuff like that, so.
That's awesome. Awesome. And for you, next?
Travel.
Travel? Yeah, that's a big one on my list. I got a lot of places to go. Julie?
Oh man, too many. So dance, time with my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandpuppy. I love food, anything food related. I love connecting people, which is why I have my meetups. And yeah, and love helping people.
That's
And
awesome.
love face reading.
She's so good at it too. You guys should all sign up and get one. Your passion, Eric?
Paper, one of my biggest is my kids. And in this sequence is my kids. And I do what I do for them. I already did for me a part of travel. Travel is no action, but that's the last one. My second what I really want to do is invest in it, like what she said. So I actually thought about it. I'm not just
You're easy now.
I was just saying, investment, that's a good idea. That's what I'm looking at. That would probably be the end resort, but what they talk about living is, sounds like, something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
But more investment to me is more solid to where I don't have to keep flipping it. You have to, to
Exactly.
get it going, you have to get up. It's like a flip phone. To
Yeah.
get that call, you have to,
Open it up. Yeah.
So investment for me is a big part of this, because I see it from my family. My parents don't have to work. They don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They
'Cause
don't
they're
need to
bored.
work. Exactly.
Right?
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
You get older faster by
Yeah.
sitting down doing it,
And you can't take it with you.
and you can't take it with you. So that's why I'm here. But I'll take it from them. But with that said, my kids invest in travel. I'm making sure.
Yeah. I have a investor I work with. He learned Italian, that's what it was. He learned Italian. He did the whole, like, few months before, did the Rosetta Stone, wanted to go home to his family in Italy and be able to have a decent conversation. So he was overjoyed to be able to understand the jokes and then be a part of the laughter. And it was a great trip for him, very monumental, right? He couldn't speak a lick of Italian today. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. So true. In every aspect of your life. If you're not in real estate, if you're not speaking real estate all the time, you lose it. You forget, oh, what was that other Batman tool I had? I forgot. You know? If you're not out running or walking or doing something, you lose it in your legs. You lose it. If you're not challenging your mind, you lose it. Everything. This is a whole package, right? And you need to protect it with your assets. I'm very passionate about making that happen for people. Because I was passionate about having, how do I get out of the swallows? How do I get out from not being able to afford a bottle of water? If I could do it, anyone could do it. Anyone can do it. And then you can find more deals because I've gotten real creative. The more I hang out with investors, the more I learn. It's a language. Okay? So I'm glad you guys all came here wanting to learn. I'll take anything. I'll take anything. Right? And then go share your new knowledge. Did anyone get anything new today? Good deal. Good deal. Share your knowledge. And the more you're speaking about real estate, people will then come to you and go, like, he didn't speak real estate at all. He got with me and he's at work and people are going, well, you're the real estate expert, let me ask you. And he's like, what? And that's how you get more deals. It's the relationship, it's the connections. Any other questions that I can help you guys with today while you have my undivided attention?
Just a question for you. What was your most fulfilling deal that you had made during this 18 years in real estate?
I'm gonna have to say, people don't say Diablo. I think up until Diablo, I've done lipstick on a pig, as they call it, right? I've done minimal rehab. I've done this or that, right? But this one in Diablo, in California, I'm the most proud of. I have to say I'm the most proud of. Because I took it from a 2-1 to a 3-2. And that's what I train on as well, know the area. If it is a 2-1 and all the rest of the houses are 3-2, you might want to think about changing it. It'll sell better and more. I put the kitchen from the back of the house to the front of the house. And I was not allowed to change the footprint. It was in a flood zone. And if I added any square footage to it, I would have to raise the foundation. 11 feet plus the spacer, right? I'm like, who does the Taj Mahal in the ghetto, right? I mean, it was literally in a place where people are just barely getting by. There's a liquor store down the street. You don't make this grand in the middle. Yeah, no. So I was able to work with the planning department. I think they felt sorry for me, actually. I was able to work with the planning department, and they helped me, and I went around a bunch of mines and was able to get that done. And I went through 3 contractors, never had that big of a project before. I mean, I dug up the foundation, had to do all new plumbing, all new electrical. The first contractor screwed me over 10 grand. I couldn't get it back because I wrote the check out to him and not to the company, because I tried to sue his bond. And that minor, if you guys take that one away, that minor thing cost me 10 grand. But I got through it. And I have to say, it's the one I'm most proud of. And it's gorgeous. At the very end, my last contractor ended up in the hospital. He had some blood problem. And so this man stepped in and did some finished work for me. And so I got to learn how handy he was. And we've been together, 4 years? Or
So
3.5.
you found a better deal.
I found a better deal out of it, so maybe that's why I'm most passionate about it, you know? But that one took me for the biggest run for my money. 2 years. 2 years. And I got shut down from the city 3 times. I didn't have proper drawings from the architect, and I went back and forth with him, and he screwed me over. I mean, I had to go through 2 architects, 3 contractors, and it still wasn't done. It was a mess. So having tools in my pocket, going, okay, this, how do I dodge it? This, how do I dodge it? This, how do I dodge it? How do I come out of it? Yeah, that's gonna be my most passionate one. I've learned a lot from that one.
While you're on that whole, construction piece of the house, if you do buy a house, and say it has mold in it, and you got your inspector comes, looks at it and all that, can you go after the inspector and sue him? If you paid him to do the inspection.
Yeah, you can still for it. Yeah. I had, another investor, client of mine, she bought a house in, it's in Stockton, I don't know if you guys know where it's at, but, and there were several things that were missed. And I said, sue the inspector. That's what their bonds are for, is to protect themselves from messing up. I mean, it could have been a legitimate mess up, it could have been a screw you mess up, whatever, it's messed up. Fix it, and that's what the bond is for. And you can sue the bond and get your money back.
How long does it take, how long, cause it's actually
It depends on
something I'm
details.
looking at.
It depends on details.
Cause I bought a house and bought it as is. And, I was trying to flip it. I'm not against that, I'm not a realtor, I thought about it, I get this house, I could flip it, you know. I actually do the own, changes myself. It was a starter home.
Uh-huh.
I looked at the kitchen, I said I could change, put granite countertops, which I have.
Uh-huh.
But in the process of doing all this, I found some mold. And, at the, before sign off, I noticed some mold. And I called and I said, I told the lender, I told everybody, and I'm like, there's some mold in this house. So the seller actually went ahead and cleared out the mold, or what I saw,
Yeah.
which the inspector had missed. Cause they say if they don't move refrigerators and stuff like that, the seller was still in there.
Yeah.
So
And that's the
I
caveat.
moved the refrigerator and I saw some.
Well, that's the inspector's caveat. He's gonna say, I'm not allowed to move the refrigerator. How could I see it?
The reason I saw the mold was I went in the pantry, refrigerator, and then pantry's right next. I saw it right in the
Yeah.
floor. And I said, it came to just that corner right there. So I pushed it, I pulled the refrigerator, sure enough, I saw it.
Yeah.
So they got a company to come out and do the section that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
They ripped it and all that we did. But the door going out to the backyard, I look at it now and I see something live in the Coney though.
Yeah.
And it looks like mobile.
Well, you bought it as is as well, right?
I bought it
So you kind of signed off on it.
as that.
Yeah.
You'll know in the future not to do that.
Yeah, so in the disclosures, you signed off on, I'm buying it as is. If it's got mold, I'm gonna handle it. If it's got structural damage, I'm gonna handle it.
Asbestos.
If it's got asbestos, I'm gonna handle it. That's what you're writing off on when you buy as is.
My as is for the cracks that I saw, I'm fixing. I didn't know about.
Well, they don't know what you saw. You know, so it's gonna be a tough fight if you do it. They don't know what you saw.
Okay.
Yeah. And the inspector's caveat is, I'm not allowed to move the refrigerator, how would I have seen it? Oh, okay, never mind. You don't get nothing. So this is where due diligence is so important. And I train heavily on due diligence because you do get in pickles like that. What do you do now? Right? So being able to have another tool in your pocket to understand how to handle that situation now that you're in it and you can't, you know, get your money back or credit it or whatever it is. They tried to fix the problem, the seller tried to fix it for you. There's no other recourse at this point. So that's why it's so important to have mentors, to have people to talk to have, you know, to understand, who understands how real estate works, how the contracts work, how, you know, if this, if that, then what happens, right? Very important. I hope you guys got value out of today. I also train on, you know, small businesses and how to write your children off legally and how to pay for their college. So again, the whole business aspect of it and the real estate aspect is the perfect cocktail that everybody should have. So I do have a clipboard. If you guys want to sign up and get a free strategy session with me for your own personal situation, that's fine. Go ahead and sign up on the clipboard. And any note you want to add to make sure that I address a certain question when we do get on the call. This is a $500 value, and I'm giving you guys it for free today. I want to make sure that you guys are on the right foot. And every question you have as far as business and real estate are concerned is addressed. Okay?
Do you personally buy properties here in Houston as well, or just anywhere
I'm
in
about
Texas?
to.
You are?
Like when I
Okay.
found the was it 16 or 14 units in Waco.
Okay.
So I'm looking and I want to speak with you to speak apartment ease.
Because I'm actually mostly wholesaling residential, but I am getting into commercial now as well.
Okay,
So, and besides that fact, I'm partnering up with several other wholesalers
Yep.
to, you know, increase our leads.
oh good.
So it'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, well,
in the
let's
next
have a
couple
talk.
months.
Let's have a
Absolutely.
little chat and we'll see how that can work. Absolutely. Any other questions? Sweet. Well, thank you so much for
Can
having
we
me.
just, thank you so much for coming, Joanna.
Yeah, absolutely.